Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest from 6 Feet Under, Nightmares of the Decomposed, out October 2nd on Metal Blade Records. The album has 12 tracks, 44 minutes in length, and this is the band's 17th full-length studio album. I wasn't sure where to start with this album review, and I really had to gather my thoughts in order to be able to pull together something cohesive so that you can understand where I'm coming from and how this album played out to me. So let's start off by breaking this album into three main categories: structure, sound, and vocals. As far as structure goes, I felt that this was the best element of the three. Very cohesive, very strong, very linear from top to bottom. This is an old school death metal album in the way the songs are put together individually and then how they come together as a whole. So when you take a step back and you see this album for what it is really an old school death metal album and how everything comes together and how it is constructed. Now, from the sound perspective, I felt that the album was at times inconsistent. There's just no consistency top to bottom. Sometimes you're not even going to get consistency within the tracks themselves. You have songs where the guitars and the drums and everything else is coming at you with a lot of power, a lot of intensity, a lot of strength, and then halfway through the song it feels like it loses a little bit of that intensity, loses a little bit of that volume, it drops almost unexpectedly and leaves you wondering what the hell is happening with that track. In some songs is better balanced and you get the same feel at the beginning of the song as you're going to get all the way through to the end, but in some tracks you do have these pivots that just really take you a little bit off of your beaten path or off of your track and take a little bit of the strength away from the song. The solos, for example, there are some solos on this album that work magnificently, that really fit in the atmosphere that the song has, the power that the song has, the overall structure of the song. And then there's some solos that feel like they were recorded in the room next door. They feel hidden in the mix. They feel at the bottom of the barrel. They just don't sound like the rest of the track. They feel like they were an afterthought. And all of this, I don't believe, has anything to do with the quality of the work itself. Because if you listen to the record and you listen to the music on this album, the guitar work on this record is really good. I really felt like the guitar work was not the issue. The issue was the mixing, the way the album was put together. It's not balanced. The sound is not cohesive. It doesn't give me the same approach top to bottom. And I'm not talking about styles or changes or a riff here and a solo there. No, I'm talking about just the sound quality of the record is not consistent top to bottom. One of the main consistent elements of this record as far as sound is concerned is the bass. I love the bass on this record. A lot of bass on the album, really predominant. In some songs they allowed it to be in the forefront and have a huge role and allow itself to really showcase the power that it has and the strength that it has. Perhaps outside of the structure, one of the few highlights that this album has to offer. Vocally, what is there to say about this record vocally? I'm having a hard time being nice about it because this is the worst vocal performance on record in 2020, so far in 2020. I just don't understand how you're able to put this on an album and release it to an audience. It's just all over the place. There's no consistency whatsoever. The vocals have so many issues, but let's just mention a few. First of all, the same issues that we have with the sound, we have with the vocals. Lack of consistency. In some songs, they have the same level of sound all the way through. In some songs, there's discrepancies from the beginning to the end. And from track to track, you don't feel like it's balanced either. In some songs, it's a little bit further up in the mix. In some tracks, it also feels like it's in a different room. So there's no consistency, there's no balance from a sound perspective as far as the vocals are concerned. And then the vocals themselves are very weak. They don't feel like they feel like they were recorded a few RPM slower than the rest of the album. That's exactly how it feels. It always feels like they're not catching up to the record. And the quality of them is not good at all. It's not a matter of taste. It's not a matter of saying that, oh, this specific style or this specific approach is something that I'm not into. No, these vocals are never going to be good vocals on any record whatsoever, regardless of taste, regardless of sound, regardless of approach, regardless of metal genre. This album is an absolute dud as far as the vocals are concerned. The bad thing about it is that the vocals are perhaps the worst element
of this album, but the overall album is just not really well put together, not really well crafted. This, I feel horrible for the musicians that created the music behind this record, because this album does not do them any justice whatsoever. Now, overall, this is the worst album I listened to in 2020, and I've listened to a lot of records. And for those of you wondering, how many times did you go through this album? I went through this album at least 4 times. I listened to this record at least 4 times because I wanted to make sure that what I was listening to was exactly what I was going to mention on this review. I wanted to be true to what I heard, and I want to be true to myself. And I even consider not even reviewing this record because I'm not a big fan of shitting on albums. But if you put out something like this, I believe then you deserve to get what you put out, right? So I felt like if I listen to the album, I'm going to review it, even though the review is not a pleasant one to write, is not a pleasant one, to record, not to write, but to record. But I still feel like I owed it to myself if I'm going to listen to this album, and if the band is going to put this together, then it is what it is. They did it, I'm doing it, let's meet in the middle, alright? So, worst record of 2020 by far, and most of it because of the mix and the vocals. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I had a hard time picking 3 favorite songs, but let's go with this. The Rotting. The opening riff has menacing melody to it, and I love that opening riff. I love how it sounds. But the vocals completely come out of range and destroy that menacing melody that the riff had. The track has this heavy downpour of sound, and it's very cohesive from start to finish. This is a song that really offers a cohesive output as far as sound is concerned from top to bottom. The 2 vocal approaches are not in line with the sound. They just don't feel like they're at the same speed as everything else that it's happening. It really feels like they were recorded a lot slower. So that takes away from the intensity of the track. It takes away from the brutality of the song. Not what the track deserved. The solo fits perfect into this track. It sounds perfectly and really adds a little bit of a bright light to how dark the overall song is. Next, Blood of Zombies. Killer bass line on this track. I really love the bass as it opens. And when I saw the bass line coming in and how groovy it was and how much presence it had, I really wonder if they want to use it throughout the record, and they did. So I really love that aspect of it. The guitars gain power as the song progresses. It's a song that really grows on you. It has a real meaty kind of sound to it. It gives more substance to the overall presence of the song. The vocals are a little bit low. I don't mind on this track necessarily how they sound, but in the mix they came a little bit too low. They were too hidden within the song itself. I wanted them to have more of a predominant role, be more in the forefront, dominate the overall presence of the song, and I felt like if they did it that way, this would have been a much better track. But I picked this one because I love the bass and I love how much bass is in it. Last but not least, Dead Girls Don't Scream. This song has great lyrics. I mean, this whole album has great lyrics. I forgot to mention that is one of the positives of this record, is the lyrics. I really enjoy the lyrical content. This song has great lyrics. The guitars are again very thick on this track, very strong, very powerful on the song. I like the lyrics, and I like the lyrics in the chorus. They're simple, they're catchy, they're hooky. The vocals just don't deliver it in the right tone, in the right approach, and that takes a little bit away from how hooky and catchy this song and this specific chorus could be. Overall, is a very cohesive track. There's not a lot of variations. It's very linear, very straightforward from top to bottom. A very simple approached kind of track. Alright guys, this is it. This is 6 Feet Under with Nightmares of the Decomposed. Once again, out October 2nd on Metal Blade Records. Let me know your thoughts on this album, on the singles. I'm dying to listen, not listen, I'm dying to read what you guys have to say in the comment section about this album. And share some more opinions with you guys as we start a discussion in the comment section. Anyways, once again, let me know your thoughts on the singles, on the album, on the band, on anything you have in your mind as far as this record is concerned. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.